You finally secure a meeting with the new boss. You walk in to shake their hand, and your coffee slips. As it hits their shoes, a very specific kind of internal panic sets in. You know instantly that you've just established yourself as a clumsy liability. This diagram illustrates a biological mechanism called impression formation. The human brain is wired to make rapid assessments for survival. When you meet someone new, their brain takes the very first data point you give them, drops it onto their mental timeline, and instantly anchors their perception of your confidence. Once that initial anchor drops, confirmation bias locks it into place. If you try to recover by calmly organizing your notes, their brain will actively filter that competence out. Instead, it scans your behavior for minor errors, a stutter, a dropped pen, to prove its new working hypothesis, that you are incompetent. Reversing a biological lock like this feels impossible in the moment. The initial impression feels permanent, but workplace psychology shows us that snap judgments are highly malleable. Waiting around and hoping they forget about the incident is a losing strategy. To escape this cognitive trap, you have to actively intervene using a 5-step psychological protocol. Step 1 is damage control. Most people try to smooth over a fumble with an excuse. Instead, you need to deploy a clinical framework for apologizing studied by institutions like Harvard. The late psychiatrist Dr. Aaron Lazare identified 4 non-negotiable elements of an effective apology: acknowledge the offense, explain it without excusing the behavior, express genuine remorse, and immediately offer to make amends. Vague, passive phrasing like "mistakes were made" or "I'm sorry for whatever happened" actively damages your professional image. It signals to the other person that you are evading responsibility, which validates their negative assumptions about your character. Step 2 requires fixing your physical presence. When you make a mistake, anxiety naturally pushes you into defensive postures. You cross your arms over your chest or avoid eye contact. To the person watching you, those cues signal dishonesty and a refusal to listen. You have to manually override that instinct by opening your hands with your palms facing up. Historically, showing the palms was a way to demonstrate that you carried no concealed weapons. It is a biological cue that you are approachable, honest, and pose no threat. By combining a structurally sound apology with submissive, open body language, you neutralize the other person's immediate threat response. You stop the active damage and bring the relationship back to a neutral baseline. Step 3 moves you from defense to offense. Simply doing an adequate job the next day will not override the primacy effect. You need to deliver strongly disconfirming evidence. This shows the mechanics of cognitive dissonance. To shatter their rigid mental model, you have to execute a task so flawlessly that their brain experiences friction between its negative assumption and reality. The sheer density of your competence forces them to update their perception. Anyone in the public eye understands this dynamic. Figures like Tiger Woods constantly navigate strict identity expectations. Managing a professional image means actively shaping how others perceive your character after a massive shift or highly scrutinized event. Step 4 is shifting the spotlight. The natural reaction to a major mistake is obsessing over your own embarrassment. You have to drop your ego and focus entirely on the other person's interests. Dale Carnegie codified this approach decades ago. When tension is high, validate their frustration instead of defending your actions. Telling someone, "If I were you, I would feel the exact same way," removes the friction. It frames the situation as us versus the problem, rather than me versus you. Empathy diffuses what logic inflames. When you prioritize their emotional comfort over your own pride, you rewrite their memory of the interaction. They will remember how you made them feel, not the mistake itself. Step 5 is the long game. You secure the newly repaired relationship by giving the other person a fine reputation to live up to. This feedback loop maps out the psychological return on investment. If you consistently treat a colleague as highly capable and trustworthy, they will subconsciously adjust their behavior to meet that standard. Your positive expectations project outward and reflect back as cooperation. But the underlying requirement here is absolute authenticity. If you mimic these traits as a manipulation tactic, people recognize the disconnect between your words and your true intentions. That inauthentic persona alienates coworkers and permanently ruins trust. A single intervention stops the immediate disaster. Consistently applying these habits with genuine intent is what dissolves the initial judgment and locks in a durable professional image.
A few weeks after spilling coffee on your boss's shoes, the dynamic in the office looks entirely different. You cannot prevent the human brain from making a snap judgment in the first 5 seconds of an encounter, but you dictate every piece of data that enters their brain after that moment. You take control with a precise apology. You signal safety with open body language. You force their brain to update its assumptions with undeniable work, and you build a bridge using genuine empathy. While perfection avoids conflict, successfully navigating a fumble provides a specific piece of evidence that a flawless introduction never could. You have demonstrated the social competence required to de-escalate tension and repair a broken connection, verified proof of your resilience that now forms the core of your professional image. An early disaster is a starting point. It gives you the exact leverage you need to prove your resilience and write the rest